Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Sean Higgs coming at you with Chirimbes, Doug Upstone doing some NFL talk of late. So, listen, today we'll be talking AFC North action. But before we jump into that, you're here. Put that notification bell on so you know each and every day. Whether we're doing previews, whether we're doing free picks, tune into the YouTube channel here. Of course, all of our best bets in the NFL this season will be at gamblersworld.net, where the three of us and a couple of our friends hang out and give out top plays across the board in football action. And one last thing before we get into the North here. Early Bird NFL, get on board at Gamblers World. Comes out to about $25 a week for the entire season through the Super Bowl. I believe the price is $5.49. Listen, less than $25 a week, and this will be the only sell of the show here. Most of us sell a 3-pack or daily pack. It's going to be in the $30 to $40 range. $25 a week, you get every single game. That's from anybody. Choose capper, go for it, get that NFL season pass through the Super Bowl. $25 a week. You waste that on Starbucks and McDonald's nonsense. All right, so make yourself some money with your $25 and get an NFL package here, gentlemen. Here we go. NFL. We're going to head to the north here. Now, listen, the Ravens, favorite to win it. Cleveland's looking to be pulling up to here. We got Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Who knows what we'll get out of these guys? Again, gentlemen, those watching the show, maybe we have a win total. Maybe we have a prop. Maybe we have sort of nothing. This is roundabout talk about the AFC North. Let's. I want to do week one lines, but we'll maybe end the show with the week one lines. Let's get right into the win totals. Again, because the odds to win, we could do individual teams. Let's just throw it around a little bit. Win totals, I think, are easier because, well, here they are right now. Let's just do the North. Minus 150 for the Ravens, 250 for the Bengals, 5-1 for Pitt, and the Browns way off the bat, 31-1 to get in there. But the wins. Doug. Baltimore's 11.5. Cincy's 9.5 juiced. Pittsburgh 8.5. Cleveland's 5.5 juiced to the under here. I look at these early lines. The lines come up when the schedule comes out back in May. We'll start with the Ravens because they're the favorite here. They are favored in 15 games this season. 11.5. Now, they're a couple of these spreads. We see it in week one. 1.5 dog to the Bills. They are 1.5 dog at Kansas City. A 1.5 point fave versus Green Bay, 2 versus Cincy on the road. So you got 4 games there, which lends it to the 11.5. Seems like an easy one to do, right? You got an MVP quarterback. We got a chip on our shoulder, not just a chip on the screen with us. Way things went down last year with the Ravens. Do you like anything with this Raven team, whether it be a win, a Super Bowl, a prop? What do you got?
Yeah, I would tend to think that they're going to go over the 11.5. Okay, I mean they're the best team in the division, yes. Across the board. So I mean I would lean that way. I think the big thing, to me though, the regular season, they're just playing to get home field because at some point you have to win the AFC Championship. Okay. I mean, this team has been set to go for 4 years? Okay.
Yeah.
And they haven't done it. And so, and if I'm, to me thinking of this and looking at this, if I'm John Harbaugh, is that, and this is potentially true, by the way, that could happen this year, but this defense, or look at it this way with Kansas City, is that how did Kansas City lose 2 Super Bowls? Okay, to Philadelphia and to Tampa Bay. They lost because their offensive line was dominated by a superior defensive line, and then they held up on the back end in terms of passing. So if I'm Baltimore, my only path to the AFC Championship game is having a better defense than what Kansas City can block. So to me, that's the whole thing. And what they do in the regular season, I mean, yes, they're betting and stuff like that, but to me, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, either they get to the AFC Championship game or it's another failure for this team.
Yes.
So it's simple as that. I would lean though on the over on this one with them. I think they got enough there. They just got to get it. They got to have the old school Baltimore pass rush of 7-8 years ago.
Chip, he's saying over. And listen, you lose to Mahomes, you lose to Josh Allen. I know the knock is like he can't go over the top. It's not like you're losing a fluke. These guys are. Mahomes is in the Hall of Fame. Allen's on his way to Hall of Fame. But you have to eventually get to the Super Bowl, win or lose. You got to get past these your competition, your peers. As good as your MVP season, you got to beat these guys head to head.
Well, they played, I think it was 8 playoff teams last year, and they may not have beaten them all, but they outgained each of them in the games they played. You know, Baltimore's problem is not been that they don't score points. They were 518 points. They were third in the NFL behind Detroit and Buffalo last year. And you have Kansas City and Buffalo who are probably the odds-on favorite. Then it's going to be Baltimore. Sean, when you were out here, did you see or did you feel that there was the Ravens were catching a lot of action? Because I think that people are feeling the Ravens are going to get you the most value in this division here because in the AFC that is because you have Kansas City and Buffalo, and a lot of people pick Buffalo to go all the way, and it looks like Baltimore is the odd man out or their third choice. 518 points last year, but they're 10th in defense, and in the playoffs they just haven't gotten it done. They rank 10th defensively, giving up 324 yards. Harbaugh's in his 18th season, guys. Wow,
Has he been there that long?
Right? And he
18 seasons.
Yeah, they were 12. He's 7-5. I see Baltimore as leading this division, going over 11.5. It may be tough this year if Cincinnati finally can win a game earlier in the year instead of starting 0-2, 0-3 every season like they've been. Walking over Cleveland shouldn't be any problem, but Cincinnati is going to be a thorn there if Joe Burrow can get his act together earlier in the season. Last year, Burrow had his best year ever, believe it or not. Highest quarterback rating that he's had since he's been throwing the ball.
Well, let's just jump into this. So right off the bat here, I have I grabbed these at Circa a week ago. The Ravens are the conference winner plus 295. Kansas City was 315. Buffalo was 370, believe it or not. So Ravens are the favorite, which I would have thought with you there because I just looked at this real fast here just now. I would have thought maybe Buffalo would be the top choice based on Kansas City. Yep. As good as they were last year, they kind of exposed like the offense wasn't just a usual offense. They were kind of pedestrian by their standards.
You're right, Sean. I was thinking that Baltimore would be the side with value because you think that KC may regress a little bit, and Buffalo's been on the cusp. I mean, for so long, everyone's waiting for them to get there. And I think Buffalo is the choice to win the most games. They've got the easiest schedule out there. If you look at it that way, they've got 4 tough games and are playing them all at home. Each one of them.
They are favored. They are favored in all 17 games.
There you go. So, I was just throwing them out and disregarding them because there is so much action on them. I'm thinking that the Ravens would be the next value choice, shall we say. And you know what we say about value. Why is the bookie giving you value?
Well, again, you think it would be a little higher. It's not. They are again, they changed, folks. We're doing this now. This could have been something a week ago. It could be something you could be watching this September 3rd, the day before the season starts. It'll be different. It could be watching it the day of. So odds do change here. But let's. I'm going to throw it back here. We're going to jump into Cincy right now. We're just talking Cincinnati. You mentioned Burrow. 9.5 on the win total here for them. Listed as favored in 10 games. That being said, they have a lot of these spreads in a 1.5. 2-point kind of line. There's what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, kind of close. Hey, you catch a bunch of them, you're on a roll, right? We hit 5 of these, and your 10 wins turn into a 13-4 season or something really good. I think Cincinnati, for me. Now, we've seen them the last couple of years, right, with the coach. Zach Taylor, totally unprepared early. The team always starts 1-4 or something. They lose games. They shouldn't lose at home. This and that. The defense last year was historically horrendous. I mean, it was we could have rolled. We would have scored a touchdown on a flea flicker with Chip running down the thing and Doug throwing on the ball. They couldn't stop anybody. I think the way to attack Buffalo, Chip, this year is, or excuse me, Cincinnati. If this is the year that Zach Taylor and Cincy takes a step forward, because let's be honest, Burrow's been in the playoffs, once in his career, right? He went on a nice run. Other than that, where's this team been? I think if you think Cincy is due, and I said this before, about being due and hoping, you hope in one hand, poop in the other. Let's get that soap out, baby, because it's going to be stinky. If you think this is the year Cincy breaks through and Taylor does his thing, this is where you look at Burrow MVP at 6-7-1. Zach Taylor, coach of the year, whatever he's at 40-50-1. Maybe a Super Bowl future. That is where I think you go with Cincinnati on this spot. If this is the year where, listen, you brought back T. Higgins, the offense is there. He threw, I don't know, you want to go most touchdowns with Burrow? He's going to throw 45, 50 touchdowns with these guys at wide receiver? Sure. That's where I would be attacking Cincy. I haven't moved on, but I'm thinking maybe a coach of a year. I've won with Stefanski in the past. I think if Cincy breaks through, Chip, this is where I want to go coach of the year odds with him.
I can see you doing that, John, because look at what Burrow has started. The first 2 games in his 5-year career, he's 1-9 opening the season. Last year he was 0-3.
Who's that on? Is that on the coach? Where's the preparation?
1-9. What is it? Is this Zach Taylor's preparation? Is that where this is about, or is it about Burrow taking time to warm up to the season? I don't get it. Football, you don't have time to warm up. You got to go out and be ready from the start. And I don't understand why Taylor would have this team so unprepared the first 2 games of the year. 5 straight years, they're 1-2, 1-9.
It's terrible. Doug, how do you start 1-9 with a guy who looks like a Hall of Famer when he's on the field for you?
Yeah, well, I'll go on record as saying I think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the NFL right now. Okay,
yeah.
I'm firmly convinced. I think he's ready for a big year. So I'm agreeing with you on an MVP. Of the 4 teams in terms of win total, I like Cincinnati the best at over 9.5. I think this team is primed to do that. Defensively, they still have some holes. There's no question about that. But I am an Al Golden guy as the new defensive coordinator, and it's not going to happen right away. But in the second half of the season, I look for this team to apply more pressure from the defensive front and to blitz more. And then they also, Al Golden teams, especially when he's been the defensive coordinator or basically that position, not a head coach, they force turnovers. And I think that's Cincinnati's path to an excellent season is force turnovers, score points off of that. Now, to your point about the slow starts, tell you what, Cleveland, and Jacksonville. Okay, if you don't go 2-0, you don't deserve anything. Or if you go 0-2, if you go 0-2 against Cleveland and Jacksonville, adios. See you. I would fire Taylor after that. And I'm not a reactionary guy, but come on. If you start each season 1-12.
Sean, is that 9.5 total at $1.10 each side, or is there laying juice on the over?
I think you're minus 125 to the over here.
Right. Yeah. 9, because that 9.5 does look attractive to go over with this Bengal team. I could see that happening. If they, like you said, Doug, but those 2 games starting at Cleveland, and Cleveland, who knows what they're going to do, for crying out loud.
Yes. So
they have 5 quarterbacks, which means they have no quarterbacks.
Yeah, Burrow for MVP. I'm on board with that. I think that's a reasonable wager. He's listed among the favorites anyways, so he's right there to begin with. So I like that. I like where that sits.
I've seen 2 different. I see a 25, a 27, and a 50-1 for Coach of the Year for Zach Taylor's right now. So,
well, if they win it, he gets it, right? That's a shoo-in.
That's the thing, right? You're gonna come in and win 13 games in this division. Maybe say not even go to Super Bowl, but if you just have that bounce back year, we've seen coaches catapult to the top of these boards here for these kind of betting markets. That's where I want to go with Cincinnati. I'm going to look at the Coach of the Year here, find the best number, and jump on Coach of the Year for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to win. I would not like them though to win the division. Even though they might have. Maybe they do, or maybe they could. But if you ask me the difference between Harbaugh and Taylor, I'll take Harbaugh every time.
Listen, but that's why is plus 250 worth it for you or plus 2,500? Like that's the trade off there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do a division one. If they're winning the division, I think my coach of the year or a Burrow MVP is probably a better payday than that.
Right.
Like you get to the division 250, like a two. I wouldn't do that. I'd rather if I'm gonna lock something up for 6 months, whether it be $10, $100, $1,000, I'm gonna look for a better payday than a 2-1 there like that. I think if they win it, the MVP is definitely in play because he's going to have a great season, and the coach here is 100% in play because he's kind of kicked the old proverbial monkey off his shoulder and took that step forward. So,
Sean, you're actually making sense.
every once in a while, I got it. It's because of my new shirt.
That must be it.
You know what? I came in with the new shirt, and Doug was like, "Oh, you a little color." I was like, "I got the old Tony Soprano on, the old little zip up Tony Soprano style." And you put the floral on. I should have jumped into another Sasquatch surfing T-shirt here.
I feel like I'm in the tropics. It's just the way it is out
Yeah,
there.
you got the great backdrop today.
Well,
Got the pool behind you, looking good. Speaking of looking good, I don't know with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It'll be our next team up here. Tomlin, let's 8.5 juice to 120 with this squad. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is in the Hall of Fame, but not for what he's done the last couple of years here. Favored in 6 games this year. They have 5 games at the 1.5 mark, another 4 at the 2.5 mark. I know Tomlin wins those games, right? That's why they're 9-8 every year. Guys never have a losing season. I want nothing. I'm taking the Jets week 1 +3 here. By the way, against give me Jets +3 at home as a home underdog versus Steelers. I think the Rodgers thing is a complete and utter failure. I'd rather have Mason Rudolph, who's been in that system and kind of knows the whole Pittsburgh routine or however they run the show out there. Doug, what do you think on this Pittsburgh team? It's not a team I want to back or not back. Maybe I'll find a spot on them. Sometimes you love a team for the year, sometimes you don't. This one here, I think it's a wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I was going to do anything, I'd lean the over at 8.5 because they get 9 every year. So it seems like your money's pretty good, but you're depending on a quarterback who basically, sort of played last year, didn't play the year before. He was in his 40s when he first got to the Jets. Okay, so where do you think you're going to go from here? Okay, I mean it's just, and I read where somebody says, "Well, this is the Steelers' best quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger." Is that saying anything? Is that
their quarterback since Ben
now
Roethlisberger?
There's a selling point. Ben Roethlisberger at 39, he was a wooden statue in the pocket. So that's no, not sold on this. Metcalf, okay, helpful as a wide receiver, but Metcalf. There's some reasons why, Seattle, I just don't think he's the explosive player that he used to be. I think that's kind of over there. The defense is essentially sound and the offensive line is better. I just don't see enough here to get excited about Pittsburgh.
Hey, listen, after Roethlisberger, they brought in Hall of Famer Russell Wilson and Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. So, they got a nice Hall of Famer and the quarterback's going, but at the 40 club, I don't think it's really worth it.
Well, teams win games, and quarterbacks are certainly the hub and most important, the focal part. So what would you say the win total was for the Steelers this year?
8.5.
8.5.
They won 10 games last year. Yeah. And now they had added Aaron Rodgers, and the bookmakers taking a game and a half away from it. Rodgers threw for 3,900 yards. He was 28-11. It wasn't as bad a season as it might have been or what we might have expected. But this quarterbacking situation for the Steelers must really be really in flux because you have a 42-year-old and you have Mason Rudolph. You have 3 other guys. You even have Skylar Thompson, guys. Skylar Thompson completed 42% of his passes over 4 years. And with this number, I think it's very telling. With the bookmaker giving you 8.5 against a team that won 10 last year.
Yeah,
so I would play under for the Steelers just off of that. And they have Aaron Rodgers, great. 42 years old at that position. That's quite an achievement if you can achieve it. But
the other thing too that
leaving out Will Howard too. You got Will Howard coming to play.
All right,
yeah, but you get in there, inexperience in the NFL is just it's a killer.
And one of the problems too that the entire division has is on the presumption that the NFC North is anywhere close to what it was last year. Those are four tough games.
Yeah.
For all these teams. So like Pittsburgh's win total being down a little bit, I can see that because of the competition they're playing. I think they're playing a pretty tough schedule. I'm not a big schedule guy, but it just I can see the logic of it.
Play Cleveland twice.
They do. There's 2 wins, presumably.
We're going to talk Cleveland right now. Let's not badmouth Cleveland because I'm going to come into Cleveland here. We'll talk some Brown football here. 5.5 on the win total. We'll pull it up here. Minus 145. Obviously, the odds makers do not think this is going to be a good team. Hello, underdogs in 16 of 17 games. Their lone game as a favorite, listed as 1.5 at home over the Tennessee Titans. We see them plus 1.5 home versus Miami, plus 2.5 at the Jets, plus 2.5 home versus Pittsburgh. A couple ones in there that could maybe be wins. I got to say, I like the over here with Cleveland. Now, 3-14 last year, yes. All right. You finished the year terrible. You lost 21-7, 24-6, 2013. Not a lot of offense, and teams obviously like, hey, let's just run the ball and we get out of here without getting injured. Watson, Dorian Thompson, Dorian Jones, whatever, DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson, and Bailey Zappi started 10 games through six touchdowns. At least when Winston was in there, he threw 13 touchdowns in his 7 starts here. And those losses with him in there, 5 points, 6 points, 4 points, 5 points. Under Stefanski, again, 2-time coach of the year, this guy. 11-6 season in his bookends here were 11-6, 7-10, 8-9, 11-5. We saw last year, even the year before with the quarterback play, they like this coach, right? They don't quit on this coach. They could quit on a quarterback. They'd be like, what the hell's going on here? They love the coach. I think this is too low. I think this team, week 1, they're getting 5.5 from Cincy, and I'm talking Cincy breakthrough, right? MVP for Burrow, coach of the year. I will not be shocked if Cincy loses this game or wins by 3 or something here. I'll take Cleveland week 1. I think 5.5 is too low. I want to go over. I want to take the over in this game, Chip. Or not the game, but just under season. 5.5. 16 games are listed as underdog. They're one dog listed by the think like a bookmaker. Hi, they're a 1.5 point favorite, and they're listed as 5.5 wins with 16 underdog games on their schedule.
Yeah, I could see playing the over. I mean, they were minus 22 in turnovers last year. They were minus 19 in interception differential. These quarterbacks have to do something. I mean, you have so many of them, but if you don't control the ball on the ground, I don't know where they're going to go. They had a ground game. Well, not last year, but I mean, I remember watching.
They got hurt. Jump.
But I think you're onto something. 3-14. They only covered 4 of 17, and usually that means they weren't even in most of these games, Sean. And you have to think that they're going to have a recovery season. I mean, that would be my first instinct. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they'd be lucky. They go 7-9, 7-10. They should be happy. But I can see 7-10. I can.
They bring back Flacco. You got a veteran here. You have Dylan Gabriel and Sanders, obviously the rookies. Kenny Pickett, a first-round pick himself. Like, you have a little leadership. Again, we're laughing at Kenny Pickett, but this is a little sidetrack because we saw Mac Jones get kicked out of New England after having a defensive coordinator, his offensive coordinator. He's Jacksonville. You got to kind of give these guys a shot. But my point is that you got 3 first-round picks, top draft picks on your squad here. Well, Sanders fell or whatever, but I'm just saying you have these picks who you think are going to be starters down the road. You got a good veteran leader in Flacco who obviously he comes in off of his couch for the love of God and has a good season. So obviously he sees the field as a pro. I think that does nothing but help these young kind of guys maybe improve. Again, who's going to be the quarterback? Who knows? I don't know. But I look at this as it's just the wrong kind of number. If they're a dog in 16 games, you're giving them 5 wins, even 4 wins. Something doesn't make sense, Doug.
To me, it makes perfect sense. And the thing is, too, I think you've told me, Sean, before that you don't drink. So I'm a little confused here about that. Is okay. So we're looking at the 5.5 wins. They won 3 times last year. So I'm not going to disagree. I could even make the case that Cleveland will cover more of their games than they won't. Okay, that's my story. I'll say they cover 9 of their games, but that doesn't mean they're going to win them. I mean, this team. I mean, Joe Flacco. Okay, you can look at Joe Flacco's numbers. You can say whatever you want about him. Okay, that's fine. But does he win anymore? When's the last time Joe Flacco was on a winning team? Okay, he hasn't been. He's not going to be a winner on this team. Okay, guaranteed on this one. Then let's see, twice against Cincinnati, twice against Baltimore, twice against Pittsburgh. Okay, how many wins you talking there? You think you're going to get 2 out of that? Okay, all right. If you want to do that, take 2 out of there. Then you're going to get 4 against the NFC North, maybe Chicago. Okay, I don't know if that's home or away. Then you're going to play Buffalo. You're going to be playing a angry San Francisco team looking for redemption. Please explain to me how you're going to get to 5.5 wins. Okay, I don't see a chance in hell. Okay, of that happening. I think this team is at best is 5 wins. Okay, I think it's close. At best, it's going to be 5 wins. So I am a definite fan of the 4 teams. I would probably put this one probably third of the 4 in terms of betting. Pittsburgh would be the one I would lean. This one, though, if I was literally to bet it, I would bet the under myself on this one. I understand what you're thinking, and I understand the conceptual aspect of team off a bad year. You know, you're going to seemingly you have value almost no matter what their number is. You know, if it's within a couple of games from the prior year. But I just think between the schedule, between the personnel, their quarterback position, they don't have a quarterback. They're going to have a body, but they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. And we've seen anything in the NFL. You need a quarterback because quarterback play is it's been bad.
It's the whole deal.
Yeah. I mean, we see the good. And again, maybe I look at it as the 5.5 and think over because I'm thinking, like you said, they're going to cover maybe 9-10 games because they're thought of so lightly.
Right.
You know?
They're going to get a lot of points or they're going to get enough points. And like you said, they had a number of games they were close last year, but their quarterback position isn't better than it was last year. Yeah. Okay. Flacco, I mean, like Flacco, the last 2 years in Baltimore, I'm sorry, in Indianapolis, you know, he would come in and he'd play well for like 2 games. But then if he had to play the 3rd game, then all of a sudden there was 3 interceptions. Then there was a fumble. And that's just, I mean, so if he is there to play even 11 games, you're going to get some good efforts out of him, but you're mostly going to get mediocre quarterback play. And to me, that's where Cleveland's going nowhere, and especially against the schedule they're going to play.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you got a Super Bowl contender, maybe 2 Super Bowl contenders,
right?
People believe
theoretically,
you know, and a playoff team in Pittsburgh. So, you know, again, and then you see the 5.5 and you're like, 5.5, you got 3 playoff teams in your division.
I don't disagree with your logic at all. You know, and a lot of people.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I've been wrong on these types of things many times before. You know, to where I say, "Oh, come on, there's no way." You know that a team. But in this one, I have to say, I'm firmly convinced. And if you want to save the video and play it back for me in November when Cleveland goes 7-10, that's fine. I'll take it out. Okay, right here, I'm not going anywhere. I can accept criticism from anybody like nobody's business, so we're good.
Well, that's why we throw the videos up, Chip. Right? We like the comments. We put our thoughts out there on teams and what we think, you know, coming into the season, what could happen, and then we could look back and either laugh and say, "Oh, I'm terrible," or "I'm a genius." You know, we'll see. We'll know. We'll know soon enough, Chip.
Well, with Doug saying that they're going to have a winning point spread record for the year, you're actually giving them a pretty good shot to win some of those games. So, you know, that 5.5 might come into play, but I think it is a stretch for the most part. But, you know, you got to.
I can see 5. I mean, I honestly can. I mean, can they be improved? Yes, because they can hardly be any worse than they were last year with 3 wins. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, yeah. So just ball bounces a couple times their way. They win a couple of games that they lost last year. But I just have a hard time getting to 6.
I mean, like they opened the season at home versus Cincinnati. Right off the bat, you could see that being a field goal kind of game, just on Cincinnati's history. No matter what I said and thought, hey, maybe they get their thing right. They don't have to cover games. We've seen, hello, Kansas City going to Super Bowls left and right. They're not a cover machine. So,
Right.
you know, right off the bat, it could be 1-0 with a cover with a loss. But, hey, we're worried about covering spreads here. That's the main thing when it comes to these regular season games. We can say whatever we want for the season.
And the other thing, too, is the Browns aren't the Rockies, okay? So we should keep that in mind as well. Okay. So,
man, that's a whole nother – we'll have a baseball wrap-up discussion pretty soon.
There, but, the Browns they're not as bad as the Rockies. So that's the other thing in their favor.
Do you think there's a team Rocky-esque this year in NFL anywhere?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I can't even think of a team that was as bad as the White Sox were last year, just offhand. Giants have some possibilities, but, that'd be the one team that off the top that comes to mind. But, yeah, nobody else.
Tennessee was 3-14 last year with the Browns record-wise.
Right.
And the Giants as well. We saw the Giants win a meaningless game for themselves to cost them. But I think that's about it on the AFC North here.
I got one more for you. Okay,
go for it.
I got a prop for you. Okay,
yeah,
and this might even be should be nice and controversial. Okay, Derrick Henry under 1,375.5 rushing yards. Okay, I'm going under. He had over 1,900 last year, but here's my thought on him. Last year he was on a mission. Okay, got traded to a good team, had played on 2 or 3 bad Tennessee teams, so he was highly motivated, ready to go. Okay,
yep.
Previous to that, he has had a number of nagging injuries. Okay, had to sit out some games, had limited carries in instances. I think we're going to see more of that Derrick Henry coming into. I think at 31, he had his second most carries in the last 5 years last year. So I'm just not sure he's going to be, the same guy. I'm not sure he's going to get all those breakaway runs, that he had last year. So I'm going to say he comes up short on there. And I think as a team, I think also Harbaugh, he was a horse last year. You could ride it. But this year, I think they probably feel like they have enough offensively to where, the running game they still want to be important. I'm not saying that is the case. I just don't think he was at 5.9 yards per carry. I could see him being more in the 4.4 range.
Career high.
Yeah, a reduction of carries, a number of carries. So I think all of those things are going to contribute to him having coming up. I'm not saying it's going to be well below. I mean, if he came in at 1,360 for rushing yards, wouldn't be surprised at all. But I just don't know that he's going to get over it.
And in the same vein, don't you think we should be playing under for Saquon Barkley?
Oh, yeah, exactly the same.
This is the first. He had a come out year, his best ever, and he's always had, like you said, the injuries.
Yep.
When he's been healthy, and plus, fact, even if he is healthy, I don't think he's going to get the same kind of workload or performance either. So that was my thoughts. My thoughts about being under.
Yeah, and why would you? If your goal is, still is in the next year or two to get to the Super Bowl, if that's still your goal, you want that guy in the playoffs. Yep. You want him fresh, you want him healthy, you want him ready to go. So if that's the case, so why give him the workload in the regular season if you don't have to?
Yep. And if the Eagles should be a walkover, a soar over in their division, I mean, it really shouldn't be too much of an issue in the
they did have some losses though, on defense. That's a little concerning to me about Philly. I'm not saying Philly's not good, and they deserve to be the assigned numbers the sports books have given them. But I think going to start the season at least, I think there's a few questions on defense that weren't there last year. That's just
we'll be on the NFC East in our another video coming up. So we'll save the Philadelphia talk for the Eagle talk. By the way, second most rushing yards career wise last season for Mr. Henry there. Right. That was his second biggest output of yardage. I mean, so yeah, why not do it under there, right? Save him. We got Justice Hill, take a little load off. We got bigger fish to fry than you rushing for 2,000 yards. I'm sure he's going to he wants that ring, right? So
yeah, and last year was, part of it was the 2,000 was within reach again. So that was part of the reason he got as many carries, I think, as he did later in games.
Exactly.
So I mean, so that's fine, and there was nothing wrong with that. But again, John Harbaugh is not stupid, and so I just don't think that it's going to be as important. He wants Derrick Henry ready to go first playoff game.
I agree. I tend to agree with that one. All right, we'll wrap this up here. You got the prop running across the bottom. I'm inclined to say take that little flyer on Cincinnati kind of futures if you're again. The Ravens are the favorite here to win the division. That's easy to say. Oh, you take the. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say maybe since he breaks through, we're getting 6-7-1 with an MVP with the quarterback, a 25-30 or even 50-1 in some spots here with a coach of the year. That will be my sort of team there as well. And that's about it here. Chip, anything to add? Do you like any? What's your favorite today in the North here?
What's and this? Wait a minute. I lost my train of thought. What was your question again? Shall I ask you?
You got? Do you have a favorite, like a win total or a prediction on the?
I think that Cincinnati over 9.5 is interesting. That was the thing I that would hit me as far as win totals. You got to go 12-5. Maybe Baltimore's supposed to be the over there, but they could lose twice to Cincinnati, and you know what they say, shit happens, and it always seems to happen to Baltimore. They're beating people they're beating people all the time, and somehow something happens, happenstance, and they end up getting beat.
Again, 15 times their favorite this year, listed early here on the early look line. But Chip, again, he's Cincy. We're sort of a little believing in Cincy a little bit here on the show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll see how that. I also said the Browns over 5.5 looks interesting to me too. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at in a few months with these predictions. But we'll know both of these teams right off the bat in week one. They battle out there. And I told you, I like the Browns 5.5. That's like such a dead number. And, since you just got to win by a touchdown, I don't know. Why does that look like it's going to be a 24-23 game to me or something like that? All right. For Gamblers World, listen, Early Bird NFL is up. Go get it. Less than $25 a week. I don't know. You're not going to find a better deal than that anywhere. So go get a early NFL package. Again, you see the daily packages, what they cost. We always say long term is better. Get the early bird, $25 through the Super Bowl, folks. And that's a wrap for the AFC North. And next up, we'll be in the West. AFC West here with the Chiefs. A lot of Chiefs talk. But, gentlemen, have a good one. Thanks for popping by today.